Welcome back, Commanders. My name is Alchrist, and today I'll be giving you an update on previously discussed T-Dolls. This would just be a quick briefing on the upgrades our girls have been given in the recent updates. Starting with our bouncy Neko, Peritya. Peritya previously struggled with really low attack scaling on her skills and not having a team that could fully utilize the 6 support actions. But thanks to the members of Squad 404's Klukai and Mechti, they have really helped push Peritya to be a strong DPS. Mechti's passive will change Peritya's support actions to Corrosion, as well as ample buffs to increase her overall damage. My original briefing stated that Phase Strike was a suitable attachment set for her to use, but with Mechti, her new best set is Corrosion Boost. This can be used instead if you have Mechti, but you should prioritize which set has the better substats. Having better substats is more important than the extra 5% the Corrosion Boost will give. Otherwise, just stick to the Phase Strike. I went over this in my Klukai build, but Klukai triggers Peritya's support actions faster than any other T-Doll, dealing more DPS and fast charging her skill points. I have created an infograph I'm calling Peritya on a page. Most of this information remains unchanged from my original build guide, mainly adding the 404 members. 4 dolls have received their mod key in the recent patch, leading with the Elmo squad leader, Groza. She has been installed with the mod key Absolute Defense Essence, which grants Groza the Absolute Defense buff when she uses the active skill 2. This completely negates damage from a single attack. This effect has no duration and will last until she gets attacked, but it does break on the first attack hit, so if there are any multi-hit attacks, she will only block the first one. This obviously complements her role as a frontline tank, making her quite invulnerable, and can be used to cheese certain mechanics. For example, abusing the simple AI in PvP and baiting enemies in. But I'm sure there are some clever people out there that can think of cool ways to use this. Here is a quick Groza on a page. There's not much changes to her build or playstyle since her original guide. Ullrid also got an upgrade with a mod key Determined Pursuit. When Blade Whirlwind, which is her active skill 2, does not kill a target, she deals a second instance of physical damage equal to 90% of her attack and reducing an extra stability, but this will also hit with a 30% damage bonus. This can trigger 3 times a turn, so you really want to aim to get those triple action turns. This doesn't count as an extra proc of damage, so unfortunately she doesn't trigger effects like PJ support actions the second time. This overall does not change her original guide, base rotational playstyle, but it does make her more reliable at dealing more damage to stronger targets. The extra stability damage is nice, but it's still not amazing. Here is Ullrid on a page. Even though she got a mod key, she hasn't had any T-Dolls, weapons or common keys that complement her playstyle, so her overall guide has stayed the same. Reminder that using the Crown Jackalope or Hair does not come with the innate skill point generation trait, and thus won't be able to follow the rotation, instead relying on getting kills to get extra actions, which is much harder to do. But the better stat line of an elite weapon would offset it a little. In other words, there is a big gap between having her elite weapon versus the Jackalope, but the Jackalope isn't much better than the Plume Edge. Moving on to Makiatto's mod key Sniper's Lock. When using her ultimate, she gets extra command and refunds the skill points on the attack used by said extra command. Any attack she makes to a boss while under extra command will debuff them with Sugar Overdose for 2 turns. Makiatto will deal 15% more damage to enemies with this debuff. Keep in mind that she needs to afford the cost of the skill points first and then it's refunded. This is a fantastic key, as sometimes you need to consider if losing a turn to activate her ultimate is worth it. But now this removes the need for her to have that turn of downtime as she gets to shoot right away. Maki on a page. This overall doesn't change a build of my original guide, but a rotation now includes the extra hit in turn 1. Since release, Dushevnia has been introduced to the roster. Dushevnia is the best at applying frost and frigid on targets. This makes it really easy for Makiatto to deal extra damage from a passive. Makiatto's intercepts can also trigger Dushevnia's action supports. Check out my Dushevnia build guide for the full breakdown. Lastly, we have QJ's mod key, Ruined Gem. It changes her support actions to burn damage, while also increasing damage by 15% to any targets that have the burn debuff. QJ was already lethal before, but now she's even more deadly, especially with a super hot Vector supporting her. Also, this changes my original build guide. As I said, her best set is Phase Strike because her damage was split between burn and physical. Now with this mod key, all of her damage is burn, so naturally the burn boost set is now her best set. But as I said previously, substats are more important than the set. Make sure you have the correct substats first. Here is Qiongjiu on a page. For such a simple T-doll, recommending a rotation is really difficult. There are so many elements that can change what would be ideal. At base, yeah, active skill 1 to ult spam would generally work, but with Vector who lets it trigger up to 5 or even 6 support actions, this becomes quite hard. Sabrina is actually really good at this, as she can consistently deal 3 counters a turn, triggering Qiongjiu on each. But within context like Gunsmoke, this isn't ideal because Sabrina isn't effective in Gunsmoke. And that wraps up this quick update. Feel free to share any other suggestions that you've come across in the comment section below. And I'd appreciate any feedback on the T-doll on a page I've created. See you at the next briefing, Commanders.